I know. I know. We've left you guys too long. We're like epic rap battles of history. I know. You have to tune in. You have to show up. That's understandable. This feeling you have in your chest right now, the throbbing, it's real. You should embrace it. You should let it soar through you. Welcome once again, not to the anime law this time. That's we have let that ship sail away, and now it's happy in the banks of memory. Now we move on to new and exciting things. So we welcome you.
We're supposed to do something here. Okay.
Yeah.
I think this is the part where we throw the glasses.
No, you're supposed to say something, Louis. Come on, come off.
We're slacking. It's been too long. It has been.
Yes, that's why we should have prepared for this.
We should have rehearsed, but
yes.
When have we ever been fucking ready for anything?
No. Let's pretend the pause happened, and now you jump in and put your own take as co-host.
All right. What did you just call me? Excuse me?
No, nothing.
No, we are hosts together, or I am the alpha host and you are the what's the letter after beta host. Maybe even the Charlie host. Okay, I did give you the platform, though. Just because this is a new stream with a new name, with potentially new guests that you all created, don't think that you have reached my level on the hierarchy yet. I keep looking at this fucking camera and I have that new one to look at. So welcome, greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and all genders in between, or maybe there aren't any genders in between. I don't know anymore. But what I do know is that we are back better than ever with a brand new live stream by the name of the Salt Grinder, where respect is a suggestion.
Oh. Did you?
As I almost poked my eye out there.
Oh,
yes. We really should have rehearsed for this.
Oh, I know what happened. This is your first time with a headphone, isn't it? So it's professional stream people. We are now professional podcasters, streamers. We are.
This is how we do.
Yes.
Welcome to your relief for the post Avengers hangover session. A lot of you nerds out there crying your eyes out because Han Solo died or something. The Death Star got blown up. It is what it is. We know how it is with you Cape Crusading worshippers, okay? But we feel your pain, mainly because we know who Brie Larson is. And we'll get to that. But I think it's important first and foremost to recognize and acknowledge the fact that we had to reschedule this several times, actually, simply because of Avengers, okay? So hopefully we made you dorks happy. And now here we are a day late to talk about, to rant about Avengers, really, because what else do people really give a shit about nowadays?
Well, though it goes, starving kids in Africa? No. Palestinians getting shot by the Israelis? Nah, who cares about that? Syria being a battleground for terrorists? Who cares about that? Avengers Endgame. Iron Man is going to fight with Thor, and they're going to move around, and they're going to do a bunch of stuff, and it's going to be amazing. It's a cultural phenomenon. Everybody has to be a part of it. Everybody has to see it. If you don't cry on the crowd, you are not human.
You know what it is, though, too? Avengers has ruined the internet for me personally, at least for the past couple of hours. You can't go anywhere on the internet without getting spoiled or potentially spoiled. Now, it's not me who's complaining about the spoilers. I'm complaining about people complaining to me about spoilers because you can't go anywhere on YouTube without it getting recommended to you. You know, these half-ass people recording stuff with their phone,
Oh
you
yes,
know,
oh yes.
in vertical fashion because they're the real communists of this generation. Just and it's like potato quality, you know, recorded by a calculator, sitting there in the movie doing something that is technically illegal, adding a bunch of Chinese subtitles as if I guess they assume that only China is going to be bootlegging this fucking phenomenon, as they call it. But the point is, don't get mixed signals here. I am a big fan of the Avengers. I'm just not a big enough fan to where I can't be salty about the fact that we had to reschedule this over it because of it.
People like tend to forget that it's in the end it's just a movie. You know, if you, regardless of whether you get spoiled or not, again, it's just a movie, and I still maintain this argument. If I tell you that a meal you're gonna have in this new restaurant, it's gonna be a bit sour, that doesn't make the meal less tasty. So we'll go watch the movie. Oh no, spoilers! No, please. It's not the end of your life that you realize that I don't know, Brie Larson is actually going to be head of Marvel or something. I know it's a culture shock. I know, but
I probably shouldn't talk shit about Brie Larson. I've never seen her in anything. But according to the internet masses, which are always very fine, intelligent people, they have the voice of reason here. And their opinions are the superior ones when it comes to superheroes, I'm assuming. So Brie Larson should be no exception. I've heard the interviews. I've heard what she says. I guess I don't care enough because I go and only see movies that I want to see. That includes superhero movies. So I hadn't heard of Captain Marvel before. At least I hadn't heard of I hadn't heard of the Marvel Captain Marvel. Apparently DC had a Captain Marvel.
Yes.
Seems like there should have been some copyright war going on at some point in the 70s or whenever Stan Lee was still relevant. Oh, I know. I heard a bunch of the nerds there too, right? Yeah, Stan Lee, he did a lot of great things. He made a 15-year-old spider webbing kid. It's cool. He's a legend. Can we stop talking about how a giant grape essentially is going to defeat the greatest culmination of B-tier secondary characters we've ever seen? And everyone's shocked because the people are going to die. No, Spider-Man is not going to die. That much is not even a spoiler. It's common knowledge. There's a fucking trailer for the very next Spider-Man movie. It's not that hard to understand. Why am I upset? I'm not upset. I'm speaking from the heart, okay? And the heart tells me that this should have aired yesterday, not today.
The funny thing about Stan Lee, there's a
the
conversation.
Way he looks, his glasses, his mustache.
No, that's all fine. That's all fine. Scandals, that's all fine. He died, right? Everybody was sad. They gave him homage, whatever. But there was a debate on a certain WhatsApp group, and Aziz in the chat will know of this because he was the one who told me the story. There was a debate between people, like hardcore, whether Stan Lee is going to heaven according to Islamic law. And this was like fervor, right? Like people were fighting for Stan Lee. You know, he made a kid that can make webs. He made a green apple that gets angrier and bigger the more it gets whatever. Like clearly, he brought so much goodness in the world. He deserves a spot in heaven without meeting the criteria. Who cares, right? Anarchy, and this was actually a topic. That's how much nerds are willing to go?
Look, I get it. All right. Comic books are the pinnacle of literary achievement. Let's not play games here, though, folks. Okay. At the end of the day, Aquaman is still the best. Oh, I got triple dog dared to say that.
Well,
I couldn't say it with a straight face, so I just lost $10 because apparently $10 still means something to me.
no. Here's the thing. I agree with you. Do you know why? Let's look at the movies. Batman and Superman, horrifying, right? The Flash, all of these things, just horrifying. You got one of two DC villains or heroes. You got Wonder Woman and you got Aquaman. Those were the only good movies. Wonder Woman immediately gets removed because she's a woman. That leaves Aquaman.
You lost me somewhere there. I swear we're all inclusive here in the Salt Grinder. We approve of all genders, nationalities, races, religion, genders. Did I say races? And racists, right? Freedom of speech. That's a big deal here in the Salt Grinder. So just to clarify that so that we can cover ourselves, because I forgot to put a disclaimer in the description personally. That said, I think we need to start getting into the actual topics here. We're talking a lot about Marvel, but not actually talking about Marvel.
Fair enough.
Although Aquaman is not. You get my gist.
No, Aquaman is Marvel, right?
I thought it was Dark Horse. He's the most unbelievable. It's unfathomable how a guy who can talk to fish got a standalone movie that actually matters in the cinematic universe before Green Lantern, before Batman. If you take it, the new DC universe, once it kicked off, right, was supposed to have Ben Affleck be their Batman, and Ben Affleck never got the chance to be Batman, really, because it's Ben Affleck, and I called it from the start. He's not the right guy for the job. Because in order to play a superhero, you have a lot of actors don't understand. It's not just the cool part. You don't just get to wear the tight spandex and run around pretending to punch people in front of a giant green screen. No, you have to play the person, which is arguably the harder part of the job, right? And you have to play Bruce Wayne, and Bruce Wayne is about as troubled and edgy of a character as you can imagine. And Ben Affleck is not a great actor, in my opinion. And the culmination of that has to partly do with the fact that he checks into rehab like every 2 months. How can you be a great actor if you have to keep telling people how to do your job?
Actually, funny thing about Ben Affleck, that's why I think he shouldn't be like acting Batman personally. There was an interview for Batman v Superman. Now, anyone with any common sense would know that movie was horrifying, right? Like an insult to everything.
Is your mother's name Martha? Is that what offended you?
No. It's for all the Marthas out there, you know? And he's in an interview and he's excited, right? And then the interviewer tells him, "What's your opinion about the movie being awful?" He didn't say it like that, but that's the gist, right? And then you see the stunned look on Ben Affleck's face, and he starts looking at the ground like, "The movie's bad? Really?" And if you didn't know, that immediately disqualifies you from sanity.
If you didn't know, that immediately made you a meme overnight. And Marvel hopped on this opportunity, because I will give Marvel this. Them being, for most of history, the inferior comic producer and company, they are opportunists when it comes to the film industry. And they hopped on this like rabbits on carrots. I just assume that's an analogy worth making. And And Marvel actors and Marvel Studios made fun of DC, and it's very easy to take jabs at Ben Affleck in particular and DC in its current state. But low-hanging fruit is worth the casual chuckle every now and again. So it's just sad. Is it wrong for me to be thinking that right now we have a giant Marvel masterpiece essentially making the rounds in the news at the moment, and all I can think about is how DC is going to compete? Am I wrong in trying to assess that?
No, if you're a DC fan, this is a sad time for you. You are king, and now you lick the dirt. And there is no plan of coming back. Like, there isn't anything you can do. I mean, they got that guy, whatever his name, the Guardians of the Galaxy guy, but you just took off like Marvel's leftovers, right? So what's gonna happen here? Like, that's a wasted entire expanded universe of, it's Star Wars all over again. People who don't know the source material, they try to make it, they fail. They look at Marvel, it's like, how are they doing it right? Like, what are we missing? We're casting popular directors. We have the better fucking characters. How are they winning? And it's very simple. Like, one guy is in it to win it, and the other guy is in it to make money, or in it to make money. And sure, you'll make your money back, but no way you're gonna pull off a Marvel.
Well, like I said, there was a report that Disney had planned Star Wars content. Now that's not, and I'm not entirely sure if that's movies. I doubt it, but Star Wars content, new original Star Wars content, all the way up till 2030, which baffles me. You really think that this dying franchise is gonna last for 2030? And keep in mind, it wasn't George Lucas that killed it. People are starting to realize that now. I've always said this from the beginning as well. The prequels are not as bad as people think. Why? Because they spawned from George Lucas, who still had an idea of what he was doing. As soon as somebody else picks Star Wars up, which will inevitably happen, which has inevitably happened, you will see that the prequels are actually not too bad compared to what we're gonna get. You imagine, really. Yeah, can you imagine the nonstop bitching we are going to receive from the Star Wars fans and anyone else out there, comparing basically the original 6 movies? It used to be people only had the original 3, the original trilogy to stand on when arguing Star Wars. Now people only have the original 6. You're going to have those original 6 to combat, how many years is it till 2030? And all that content that's going to come. So you're going to have those 6 movies to stand on. And maybe they are masterpieces, or maybe they will be with time. But you're going to have that to go against all of what Disney is going to put out there. And I'm not sure people can handle it. We already have a ton of people vowing that they're staying away from the last... Is it The Last Skywalker? It's not like they're ripping off The Last Jedi right? And it's just sad, because Star Wars was one of those franchises that I always respected from a distance, but I was never a humongous fan of. And in some sense, when you're too invested, you don't see the flaws. So you hate the movies, but you're too deep. So you're too far gone. I have to go see the 9th one or the 10th one or the 11th one, and so on and so forth. But if you observe it from a distance like me, I feel bad because I see the flaws and I see them enough for them to actually hurt me on a level that is respectable, as opposed to I'm actively diminishing everything that the series has done for me by continuing to go watch.
Well, that's what happens when you destroy the entire expanded universe and then give the directing rights or the director's job, the executive chair, the most sensitive job to a fucking feminist. Now, here's the thing, dude, I'm not the one who likes. I'm not a pattern person, right? I don't come around and say that, oh, look at this consistent thing. It's going to happen consistently. But this is undeniable. If you put a feminist in any position, things get ruined.
I know, that's why I'm excited for The Witcher.
Fuck you, Louis, and your oh my
Fuck
god.
me, Revy figures. I know. I've heard it all before. It's all in the highlights. All right.
Oh no, dude. I know what it feels like to be a Star Wars fan. And just seeing your
You think you do? You will.
to see the love of
2020
your
was
life.
it? Or later
No,
this year?
yeah. Actually, they're being smart enough not to release it in conjunction with Game of Thrones. You know, they're gonna wait till that shit is over with. You don't want a fantasy show to compete with Game of Thrones, right? It makes sense. Like, have you noticed there are no fantasy shows around? I bet the second season 8 is done with, like, everybody will have their own fantasy show. You know, like find a writer who actually finishes his books. Maybe we can make something out of it. You know, everybody will be going for fucking fantasy shows after this.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. And I just hope that they're all taken seriously, because it took a Game of Thrones, a behemoth, to essentially show people that it's not just confined to Lord of the Rings. In other words, it's not just confined to making epic movies. We can branch off from the film industry and bring it to television, but it will require the investment. And that's where I think that a lot of companies and studios were lacking before. They respected the genre, just not enough to give it the attention that it deserved, until now Game of Thrones has shown people that it's doable. Though even so, I'd say that Game of Thrones is in a league of its own, even within the genre, simply because of the different take that it takes from the fantasy genre. The good guys don't always win, and that's just one of the many.
Well, it used to be the case until season 5 hit. Now, yeah, that's funny enough. The thing about Game of Thrones, like from season 1 to season 4, it adopted a different technique from season 5 till 8, and the difference is clear. People noticed as a drop in quality, and that's a good way to think about it. But what happened was actually a change of writing style. From season 1 to season 4, you still had the books, so you were basically trying to adapt the books into a cinema platform. And the way the books worked is much like how do I describe this? A cause and effect more than setup and payoff the way regular movies do. Everything was moving through an ebb and flow of causes and effects, and you are thrown into this universe, observing how dominoes crumble or fall, and seeing where that leads to. The second it hits season 5, and now David and Dan and the actual show developers have to carry the torch and finish George's story for him. The only way they know how to do it is through the setup and payoff method, which is regular cinematography. You set a scene up, the scene upsets gets paid off later, and it's much less of a dominoes rather than you set people up, you get them to where they need to go to resolve whatever the big problem is, which the show was very insistent to be the White Walkers, right? So it's not the fault of the show, it's not the fault of the developers. It's just there's no way to carry over the domino style without a thick book to actually help you through it. Otherwise, you have 1 year to make the entire thing. So the writing process is what, 3 months, 6 months? No, of course not. It has to be less. 3 months, right? 3 to 4 months to write the script. That's no way to write a complex story with a domino effect. You can't blame the Thrones guys, but for some reason everybody does.
I found this out recently. Did you know that Game of Thrones was Dan and David, or D&D? It was it's their first TV show. Their very first television program ever was one of the most successful of all time. And dare I say, half of it was not their own doing. Because they piggybacked off the books. And you know what? To be fair, there's nothing wrong with that. You still need direction to bring that to life. And I respect that. But you're absolutely right. As soon as the torch was given to them, they resorted back to what they were taught probably in film school, which is the 3-act process, right? The 3 arcs of a story,
Yep.
which follows a hero's journey too. Have you noticed that? All the characters are following their own hero's journeys. And the only reason why they're more complex than the typical hero's journey that you would see in like Harry fucking Potter or something is because they've already been established through the first 4 to 5 seasons as more complex due to the books. So I'm not saying that the books have saved the show even this far, but they certainly, without that foundation, would not have gotten this far. The show, that is.
Pretty much. And you know what really pisses me off? Is that nobody talks about this. Do you know what they talk about, though?
Danny has dragons. She fucked
No,
John.
no. That doesn't even matter. People.
Arya had sex with
Yes.
Genji.
Dude, why is this relevant? Arya kills last season. Arya killed an entire house, wiped it off the map, right? With our super assassin powers that are so boring, I can't even express how
so boring.
boring.
And I've never seen an asshole be so boring.
Right?
How did she learn these skills? She was blind 1 second and then got stabbed in the stomach another second, and then she can fight now on par with Brienne of Tarth.
Oh, dude. People were okay with it.
And she technically wins in the sparring session? What the fuck do you mean she wins?
Of course, they have to set up Maisie Williams. Every fucking weeb. Dude, Maisie Williams is like, when somebody got converted out of weebhood into TV shows, right? And they need a new waifu. They need what people refer to as celebrity crush. Who do they go to? Well, of course, tomboyish character, young of age, and happens to kill people like an anime character. Fucking weebs.
All we need is the typical. Hold on. Oh, not this again. We need this part, right? Yeah, the weebs love that shit, right? We need Arya we need glasses to be invented in Westeros, man. Just so she can kill someone, slash someone with her sword, turn around. Nothing personal, kid.
Oh yeah. Ugh. And again, what people obsessed over it. It's like that one time. You remember back in season 3 with Theon got tortured for 7 episodes by Ramsay. He got his dick chopped off, right?
He ate a sausage in front of him.
And it's one of those most horrifying things you can see on TV, and you're living through it, and it's supposed to make you relate to Theon, who you're supposed to hate, now suffering through all of this. Is this enough of a penance? What's happening? We didn't even know who was doing it to him at that time, right? And that we know that this entire torture scene was a ploy by Ramsay Bolton to make a pet out of Theon Greyjoy, and it's you look at this and you're like, this is horrifying, right? Nobody said anything. What did they say? When Ramsay, the same person who did everything to Theon, got his hand on Sansa Stark and raped her, people went nuts. So torturing is fine, murdering, killing chopping dicks off, all of that is fine. But somebody gets raped in a dark fantasy, and the entire world exploded. What's wrong with you people?
Well, it's all right when it happens to men, right? Isn't that what the feminist dogma has been preaching for the past half decade? That everything's funny when it happens to men. When it happens to women, it's an issue that needs to be taken seriously. Which brings us to our first topic, I think. Feminism. It should be.
Feminism, dude, I will always hold this badge of honor. We called that feminism before it was cool. All back, way back when in season 1, right? It's been an ongoing topic for the past decade for us. How I can't. What can you say?
It really has gotten out of control. I don't think people realize it because it's slowly progressing, and a lot of people are just being indoctrinated on the spot, and they're growing up with it. And that's the dangerous thing. When you hear about people complaining about the liberal doctrine, the feminist doctrine, it all gets started in the education system, and it all gets started very young, and even in the elementary school level. And we see this with those incidents, and it keeps building up over time about how a certain teacher, I'm not sure if you saw this story, might pull it up for you. There was a school teacher who brought Legos for kids to play with, except the boys were not allowed to play with the Legos, only the girls, because the boys already had in her eyes, the intuition necessary to play with Legos, but she wanted to teach the girls how to play with Legos. Can you guess how that turned out? Couple lawsuits here or there, but the funniest part, in my opinion, was that the girls didn't want to play with Legos necessarily. Some of them did. A lot of them wanted to go play with Barbies. Because of course they fucking do. But we have to keep... Right? Yeah, who would have thunk it? But you know who would have thunk this either is the fact that nothing screams feminism and wanting women to pick for themselves than telling women this is what you have to do. You have to play with this. You have to do this. You have to basically be like the boys. And I've never been a fan of that because if it's hard enough for one human being to try to replicate another person in general, we are getting to the point where we're nearing an entire gender pretending to be better than another gender because they're being taught that from a young age while trying to replicate them, if that makes any sense. They're actively trying to be better than them while doing everything that they're already good at. It's like lifting things, right? Weightlifting. Girls are not going to be able to compete with men in weightlifting competitions for obvious reasons, but they want to try to do that and then be better at it. Try to go through this logic with me.
Okay, let me propose this. Why is it bad that life has set you up allowing you to be lazy, untalented throughout your life and still somehow have a career, be successful, and have it not be a problem, not needing to compete? Of course, I'm referring to the fact that females get to be housewives, right? Classically speaking. And to me, I'm like, what more do you want? You get to be lazy. I don't get to be lazy. You have the choice to embrace a life of comfort where somebody provides for you and you're salty about that. And again, that's the key word, choice.
Yeah, nothing says women should have a choice like every housewife you see gets berated by the feminist dogma on a near constant basis for choosing to do something that they want to do. Which is another thing that does upset me, actually, is that a lot of housewives are now getting berated by feminists who claim to be the heroes of women for this generation because they're choosing to be at home as opposed to choosing to go do something else. I'm not sure if people have realized this, but a lot of kids nowadays fucking suck. And you know whose fault that is? People who don't want them spending time with their parents, particularly their mothers, who have the best maternal instincts for a reason.
First of all,
let's not even forget the fact that a lot of women are just frankly unhappy, right? And the only reason they've decided to study and graduate and enter the workforce only because they were taught that. But truthfully, they just want to be mothers. They just want to love, a little bundle of joy. Why are people so ashamed to admit that now?
Well, very simple. There's a stigma in the female brain, right? Something that told them that just because a man gets to do a certain amount of a certain thing that they can't, they don't see it, oh, I can do this thing and they can do that thing, we're a team or something like that. They don't see it like that. They're like, that means they're better. I don't want that. And again, in the Middle East, okay, you can make an argument for feminism. Still incorrect, but you can make an argument for it, right? You go to the West and like, how much equality of opportunity do you need before you realize you're just not good at this? Maybe you should be a housewife and love a bundle of joy, as you said, and have a nice, fulfilled life, learn to play the piano and teach your kid how to play the piano, then go to his piano concert, then see him be the next Mozart. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with supporting people and just having that be your hero's journey, if we want to play it that way?
And make no mistake, there's nothing wrong with women having a career. But it's so obvious when you see a woman who doesn't want that, but is forced into that, or rather forces herself into that. Like, you can tell the women that are driven, they know what they want. And some of them make it work. Most of them can't because they don't understand the concept of the balance because of the stigma. And there's a certain degree that associated with men as well, the flip side to that. But as far as this problem is concerned, I do see it a lot more with women. Just women being unhappy with their own choices that really aren't theirs.
And of course, we can always go to the stats, right? If we're going to pull off a Jordan Peterson here. You go to Scandinavia, they gave women full freedom to choose whatever they want, no stigma, no nothing. And they did the same for females. And the percentage of female nurses is like, what, 90% of the population versus engineers that were 90% male or whatever, right? So everybody just kind of knows by instinct what they want to go for, right? But you add the stigma of, no, we can achieve, we can make stuff. And what do you get?
Goes.
Star Wars. That's what you get. You get Star Wars, you get Brie Larson. Like, how do you make an entire cast hate you? That has to be there must be an achievement for this.
Dude, she's the ultimate vibe killer. Think about it. Everyone on the Avengers in that cast got along. Everyone. It was perfect for the longest time. It was a dream job. That's what everybody called it, right? And it's not like women were unhappy in that lineup, because you have Scarlet Witch, you have Scarlett Johansson, right? You have enough women in that universe. How does one person come and just ruin everything? Bro, do you realize that Captain Marvel is one of the only movies, with the exception of Black Panther, but there's a different reason for that, where Rotten Tomatoes had to disable the ratings on their website? Not even because of trolls, because of the truth. Because people genuinely watched the movie, came back and wrote what they believed, and they had to they thought it was too much pushback.
No, honestly, the movie wasn't pushing that much feminist agenda. It was just enough, right? For the feminists to relate to, but for the regular people not to be annoyed. It was the perfect balance. But what ruined it is Brie Larson's mouth in
Yeah,
interviews.
all the lead up to that. People are
Yep.
coming into that movie with that baggage in mind.
Ugh. Just ugh.
And here's the thing, I don't even have a problem with the whole girls beating boys narrative. It's overdone to a certain degree, but there's nothing wrong with it. I would just like to point out that if there was such an obvious narrative like the opposite, the boys beating the girls, how long do you think it would be before that movie got red flagged?
Again, we go back to the Arya Stark Sansa thing versus the guy gets tortured 100 times. That's what you get, you dumb bitch. And then you go, female gets scratched by like an oak tree or something on the way while riding a horse. That oak tree is offensive. How dare it hurt the female?
Allow me to play devil's advocate here, at least with Sansa. Theon did something, and people interpreted his punishment as the punishment for that, for his something. Right. Sansa, in many people's eyes, is innocent, right? Like, the worst thing that she's done so far is technically kill Littlefinger, I guess, and she admires Cersei Lannister. I guess that's not really doing anything, but I guess that's why people have a problem with it, because she represents people getting the short straw.
But you have to understand what Theon did. Theon did a bad thing. And in that same season, he tells you that. He had his recompense, right? I made a choice, and it was the wrong choice. Right? And then you torture her for 6 more episodes. For no reason, seemingly. Right?
And no, it's symbolism. Metaphors, all these terms that people throw out. People who've never read a book in their lives who like to throw out symbolism, iconography, metaphors, all these buzzwords that smart people actually use when dissecting a series. And I have to get this off my chest because it is Game of Thrones last season. We might as well make this clear, at least in my eyes. Game of Thrones is the show that dumb people watch to feel smart. I said it.
That's Rick and Morty.
That too. I mean, I would argue that. Well,
here's the thing.
Well, yeah.
Right. Like the way it goes is, you watch it. There's physics, and there's a smart character blouting shit you don't understand, but you watch it and you enjoy it because it has, dick jokes, and you assume because you enjoy the sci-fi-ness of it that makes you smart. It's like that one time I was just looking at YouTube, and that's one primary reason I never comment on YouTube anymore. One guy says, "Hi, Redditor with 170 or whatever IQ here," and then he presents his point, right? As if he introduces, that introduction line justifies anything he's gonna say, because now, I'm talking to a smart person, 158 IQ now. Now this is Einstein level. I need to hear him out. And meanwhile, you see somebody in his parents' basement, right, tilting the glass as he's typing the fucking thing.
The funny part is he's probably talking to a bunch of people who don't even know how much IQ is smart IQ. Those people, it's like, what's the point of telling somebody that you have 180 IQ if most people in YouTube comment sections are like 12 and don't even know that there's 200 IQ?
And funny enough, like what IQ is basically a predictor on the likelihood of you getting a job that requires higher cognitive abilities, i.e. things more like engineering, management, stuff like that. It's a predictor. The chances of you getting this or that is this percentage. And people treat it like it's like a Bible. And of course you have the people who argue are the worst ones, the people who don't recognize the value of IQ. I won't have my intelligence defined by a number because he got like 80 on the test, right? And I refuse to let my intelligence be defined by a number. If you were categorized having 80 IQ and you're the CEO of something, that's an achievement, right? On your end. That means you beat the odds. No, 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 no. I refuse to agree to such numbers. Something accurate to the 70th percentile. No, 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 no. That's not good enough. We don't recognize the stats. Both sides are stupid. That's what I'm trying to tell you here. The guys who embrace it and the guys who don't. There's nobody in the middle saying, okay, it's just a fucking science, and let's treat it as such. No, 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 no. Yeah, they have to take it out of its pretty little box and they have to taint it with agenda.
Well, if I may interject here.
I hate you. Okay, I really hope that hit your eye again. God damn it.
No, we're not pulling the same stunt twice. Who are you taking me for? Somebody with 40 IQ? The funniest part is about IQ is that it's exactly as you say. When somebody gets a high IQ, they're riding that bandwagon till the day they die. They could be right. They could be 75 years old, be suffering from dementia, but the one thing they'll remember, even before their own children's names, is the fact that they got 190 IQ. I'm smarter than you. I may not remember how old I am, but I'm smarter than you. At least I remember that much. And meanwhile, the people that have the low IQ are, as you say, always trying to justify it, justify why they got it. And their justification never has anything to do with the fact that maybe I'm just not cut out to be an engineer. It's more along the lines of like, it's similar to the whole artist, a stylist interpretation. Like I have my own style of doing things and I will not take the technical route. I will not be bound by these structures and these barriers that society has set forth for them, because they think that IQ is that they think that's all IQ is, that society made this as a way to assess your intelligence. And maybe it's perceived that way, but I think IQ is worthwhile, though I don't think it's something people should get harped up on. So if you can find the healthy middle ground in a world full of extremism and people that love to tell themselves that they're not extremists, but they continue to fall on one or either side of the scale on any given issue, then you end up with these pricks that are just annoying for absolutely no reason every day for every situation. God, it's painful. God, this life hurts, man.
On a much more cheerful topic, I want to transition.
Yeah, there was a shooting in.
Is it too soon to make fun of the Australian shooting?
The mosque.
The
New
New
Zealand.
Zealand.
Yeah. I know. I said that. I said there was a shooting. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a shooting today. Somewhere in the States. Like I said, I haven't kept up with the news today because of Avengers, but
no, dude, you have to understand. The New Zealand government is so apologetic and such a little bitch. They banned guns because of that shooting.
So brave. So brave. Dude, they fell right into the trap.
Oh, dude, I'll give you Americans one thing. You guys are dumb as bricks, and that saves you. You want to keep the guns. I thank you for it. You're beautiful.
Oh, you think that confirmed all of the fear that our gun nuts had about the government potentially coming to steal our guns? They looked at what happened in New Zealand and were like, oh, no way, they're gonna take our guns now. Nah, brother. Oh, they
You
fell
know,
right into the trap because they were trying to be the positive example. What they forgot to do is actually have a discussion about it. They forgot to assess the situation and think to themselves, hey, this is like the first time that this has ever happened here. What should we do? Let's not jump to conclusions all of a sudden. But of course, because as soon as they did it, people started clapping and people started praising them on social media because, that matters. Uh, no, they fell right into the trap. They did they forgot to talk about it. They forgot to be like, this happened. Why did this happen? Let's make a diagram at the very least. A, B, and C, flow chart, something. There has to be a more constructive solution to this, as opposed to the red herring that is, let's just ban all guns. Geez, you jumped a couple guns there. No pun intended.
no, funniest part is the best way people communicated before the banning of the guns was some bitch egged the fucking prime minister of the place, if I remember, or the governor of the place, because he said something to the effect of, "The shooting was bad. I'm not saying it's not, but it came for a reason, and we need to recognize this." People are feeling threatened from the Islamic immigration. People are immigrating in mass. They're taking over. And people are scared. And this is a manifestation of the fear. We have to address this. And he got egged for it. And what did social media do? What they always do. This guy is a hero. This guy is
the guy who egged him, correct?
Yeah.
Who was like a 16-year-old kid, right?
Yes.
And when you're a teenager, you can get away with anything because their brains are still developing and they don't know any better.
It's a horror show. We're living in a horror show. Nobody knows it because Avengers Endgame is on and nobody cares about anything else. Because, not being spoiled on what happens to Scarlet Witch, does she come back? She's my favorite,
Favorite. Yeah, we all know why she's your favorite too. You have dreams. We get it.
Ugh, please don't. The images in my head of fat Marvel fanboys seeing their favorite comic book character finally on screen.
You're trying to kid yourself here, okay? Do you know how many of these geeks are probably... it's a movie theater, all right? Do you know how many people, when they first saw Scarlett Johansson in the Black Widow tight suit, right? It's a movie theater. It's dark. You know how many people were probably leaning back in their chair with their hands down their pants? Right? And there's a lot of those out there. It's very easy to fall asleep in a movie theater, especially if you've seen the movie a couple times and you're just going there for research purposes.
I heard a comedy bit about that once. It wasn't about a Marvel movie. It was about Disney shows.
That actually doesn't surprise me anymore, though.
Right? Like, think something like that Frozen bitch. What's her name? I forget. Very well animated. Somebody down there probably, is feeling the chills, pun intended.
Yes. They go and see the movie multiple times. By their fifth viewing, they already know all the songs, start singing along. The only person in the theater singing along with a bunch of parents and their kids just looking up at that weirdo in the top bro. Like, all right, we're taking that exit as soon as the credits hit. We'll take the long way if we have to, but we're not going to see that guy up there. There's always that one person in a movie theater that you want to try to stay as far away from as possible.
Yeah, that's the person who's noisy. At least the person who's touching himself is having the decency of being quiet.
Okay, you said that with such vigor and passion in your voice. I can only assume.
I've had some bad experiences, yes. Do it.
Haven't we all?
I'm okay with people laughing. I'm okay with people cheering. That's fine. You know, epic moment happens. Scary moment, you start screaming, fine. But the guy who's like, yeah, you know,
You
that
don't like
guy,
that guy? That guy's the best, man. It's not like he hasn't
dude,
been asleep for half the movie and then something cool happens. He just wakes up. Yeah.
or the guy who's like, so what happened? And the other guy, the guy went to the left and then went to the right. It's kind of dumb. I think it's a plot hole. You know those guys who just chat in the middle of the film? Loudly, too. It's not like, what the fuck? Yeah, I know, right? No, not that. No. It's, can you believe this? Like, this is a plot hole, right? Like, no way they could have went to the left and then to the right. You know, John Wick couldn't have fell from that floor. You know, that doesn't make sense. You know, The Rock couldn't have broken that cast in the fucking hospital.
But I must give credit. Some people are getting more self-aware about it, which I've always believed is the most important part to work on yourself is your own self-awareness. But I have been seeing people who are texting in movie theaters, or they just have their phone out there, you know, watching porn, Snapchat, basically the same thing. You know, they're sitting there in the theater, but they have the brightness all the way down. You don't know how long I've been waiting to see someone with that much self-respect and respect for others. Self-respect in the regard that if you're just a jackass who's sitting there texting in the middle of a movie, watching something, doing anything on your phone, and the brightness is at full level, it's all the way up and everybody can see what you're doing, or at the very least, anybody can see like this glow a couple rows down. You know, that's annoying. It just flat out is annoying. Now there's people who have actually the decency to turn their brightness all the way down, and you would not believe how many people didn't already think of that. The amount of people that just they had to do something on their phone because whatever, right? Our phones are a part of us now. You have stuff to do. Whenever you want to look at your phone, you're goddamn going to look at your phone. But the people that just refused for whatever reason to turn the brightness down on their phone, such a basic action to do, saves everyone a little bit of trouble. Wow, dude. Wow. And I just saw somebody the other day do it, and I was proud. I almost felt like shaking his hand after the film. But it was Justice League, so I just kind of wanted to leave and go die in a ditch somewhere. I didn't really feel like shaking hands with anyone, you know, just like, yeah, that was a great movie, right? Just fuck you. Just okay.
No, you go to him, it's like, thank you. You matter. You are not an abortion. And then you leave.
Yeah, I need to say that to someone.
Isn't that a great praise? You know, people, you
are not. I'm glad you were not aborted.
Yes, just there's a feeling of should I want to be offended, but this is a compliment. It has that feel.
You get them at you matter because everything matters now, right? Black lives, white lives, blue lives. If you're Thanos, great people.
It's movie manners is something actually I encourage. I think this new generation needs to be taught some manners because they've somewhere down the line we've lost it. The ability to actually be decent human beings and kind of being a friendly neighbor. Like the idea of neighborhood is kind of dwindling. I don't know how it is from the state on the sides of the states, but on our end, like good conduct is no longer a part of our generation. The older generation, super hospitality, you know. Oh, your 3-year-old's son's friend is coming over, you know, the baby kid. Bring in all the candy and all the like the fancy foods that we're not gonna eat, but you know, because they came, we have to be hospitable. But the new generation, you can't even sit next to them and be friendly. They look at you, it's like, huh? Yeah. What does he want? And I assume it's the same on your end. I think it's a universal phenomenon. This new generation has embraced rudeness and snarkiness as their attitude of choice.
You know what it is? It's the rappers, bro. Hear me out. A lot of people, particularly young ones, cannot separate the art from the artist. And this is a century-old dilemma. But if I can break it down to, let's stick with music in this case. A lot of, for example, when I was growing up, rap was the culture that people tried to adopt, and they adopted everything from it. The clothing's one thing, the hairstyles is another. The fact that every person you see, you're inclined to call a bitch or a slut or the N-word is something that's usually uncalled for. I'm not blaming rap, but these kids listen to these songs and they don't know how to delineate what they should take from it, which is the entertainment value, and usually the entertainment value only, versus, hey, I'm going to go up to this random girl that I like and call her a bitch because Travis Scott said that he calls Kylie a bitch. Yeah, the only difference there is that he's a celebrity, you're not, so he can get away with that. Also, that's the arts. I know people hide behind that term as well, but it's like, those are the lyrics. In your heart of hearts, do you really think that he goes home to Kylie Jenner and calls her a bitch? How do you think that would blow over every night? Dude, seriously, like, I get it. The youth, I've known people that have called their own mothers bitches to their faces. Like, what the fuck? Dude, my mom would smack me into next year if I did that.
Everybody would smack me. I would become public enemy number one.
My face would be purple by the end. I would be Thanos by the end of the night. Literally, my mom would hit me a couple times. She'd call my dad, who would sock the shit out of me. He would call his friends from work to come beat me. Like, it would never end. But the amount of kids, like, I heard a kid at a restaurant. He was at a restaurant and he told his mother to go make him a sandwich. At a restaurant. I haven't told this story, have I? Might as well go through a quick overview real quick.
I'm processing. Go on.
Yeah, I'm like a really bad comedian who told the punchline first, and I'm not Dave Chappelle, so I can't work my way back. Basically, I was at an IHOP, and the International House of Pancakes, the International House of Rudeness now. I was there with my dad. Last time I went to IHOP, it was a Father's Day. So we went there, and I was treating him. And
he's the poor thing. Never mind.
Yeah, well, those prices. I think I'm still the poor thing. And so I was there, and there were a bunch of families there, and you know, my mom wasn't feeling too good, so she was gonna treat us to something later on. So it was just me and my pops. But there were a lot of families there naturally, and there was one family in particular who was like, there was like this divider of the booths. So we were in this one, and then there was a divider, and he was on the other side, and you could hear everything. That, like, they were so close together to where you could basically hear everything that the other family was talking about.
Yeah, we know how IHOP works. Don't worry, we have ones here.
And it's to the point where you don't intrude on conversations, but you just kind of you try not to snicker depending on what they're talking about, because you know they could be talking about like tampons or last Friday night, and you're eating pancakes. You're trying your hardest not to giggle if there's something stupid that they say. Anyway, this kid is over there, and he's silent a majority of the time, but he's playing something on his phone. I can only assume it's Fortnite because that's what the kiddies are into these days. And him and his mother were getting into a discussion, a debate about what he should get. He wanted to get a burger and something else, you know, stupid stuff that families argue about.
Right.
And it basically comes down to him telling his mother, "Hey, Mom, just make me a sandwich. Shut up and make me a sandwich."
Shut up too.
Yeah, he said shut up. And the best part is the dad did absolutely nothing. But the mother had, like, I can only assume this look of like, because there was silence. Nobody said anything for several seconds afterwards. And the way I imagine it in my head, because there was the whole booth there or the divider covering it up, is the mother went and probably looked at the husband like, this is your son, this is your time, you're the enforcer, chip in. And I just heard the forks keep clink, clink. They were clinking, right? And so the dad just kept eating. And if you don't think I was having trouble, my dad and I were trying to hold it in. Oh, did he just say what I thought he just said? I think he did. Yeah. It was a second burger. That's what it was. The kid ordered a meal and he wanted another meal because he was still hungry because kids are growing. And the mother told him no, because she's probably the one paying for this. Let's be honest, treating the whole family to lunch. And it was just, it was a bit of a surreal experience. But after a couple minutes, it made sense to me, because that's how people act nowadays. And I think, once again, it starts with the youth, and then people just never grow out of it. And that's why MGTOW and feminism exist.
No, you know what happened? That child was harassed. He was not given food. And him telling his mother to go get a sandwich, that was a cry for help. And you laugh at it.
Now I hate you.
Oh God. Dude, I remember once.
And that's not the worst I've ever seen. Like, you go to a grocery store, there's so many kids complaining about everything every single day. So many spoiled brats about not getting the cereal they want. The stupid one with the cartoon fox or rabbit on it, whatever.
I hate you, Mom. Dude, I was scared of my parents back in my day.
I was too. I was taught that when you're at a Walmart, for example, or you're shopping anywhere, if I was that kid that went over and wandered off to the toy aisle and brought back a toy, my mom immediately gave it back to me and told me to go put it back. And don't come asking for anything else, because I'm not buying you any fucking shit. She made that very clear from the beginning.
Dude, I remember I always wanted stuff. You know, as a kid, you always wanted stuff, but I never asked for it. One, because eventually it became like common sense to me. You know, you don't ask for something, you buy it yourself, blah, blah, blah. But before that, it was just, I'm afraid, even though they never did, and that's the important part, they never yelled at me for wanting something. They never were abusive or any of that stuff. But there was still an inherent fear, you know, of asking, let alone insulting, let alone being snarky in public.
Well, there's so many helicopter parents these days that believe that their child is never at fault. So we've heard about a bunch of these stories as well. This is a big deal on CNN. Actually, CNN loves these sort of stories for some reason. Whenever I'm walking by somebody in my house watching CNN, this always seems to be the topic of interest. Helicopter
moms love it. Just watching. They love watching.
Helicopter parents, and how their kids got in trouble with the school system, and it can never be the kid's fault. It's always the parents' fault or the teacher's fault. It's never on the kid. And that's mistake number one. Okay, the kid needs to take accountability. That's the first step, is acknowledging the problem is yours and yours to deal with.
You think kids are being hugged too much these days?
I think kids need to be hit more these days.
I'm team hitting kids.
Yeah, it's
not to physically harm them. It's to make them aware that there is threats in the world. You can be hurt if you do certain things. and that makes you not do them. It's like you're training your kid to deal with the world. I bet most of these kids, the reason he said, "Oh, shut up and eat the sandwich," is because he said it once, and he never got even a dirty look. Everybody's like, "Oh, shit! Oh, what do we do? Oh no, our kid is being rebellious. What do we do? We're supposed to smile and tell him that's not a proper thing to do." He gets away with it. There's no empathy.
Exactly. And you know what the funniest part is? That I overanalyzed this way more than I should have, but this kid said to his own mother, "Make a sandwich." That's an inherently sexist comment historically, right? To go back in the kitchen, all that good stuff.
Yeah, that's what you tell a female to make her mad. Yeah.
Yeah. He mastered this not because of like his inherent value or him valuing it, but I can only assume that because he's playing an online game
and he heard it, right?
That he heard it and then he took a liking to it and then maybe watched some YouTube videos where people make fun of it and whatnot, and it made sense.
Oh,
but there's a time and place to direct that at your own mother.
Dude, you just reminded me. Some legislation, a proposal, I believe, I read it. I didn't pay too much attention. A proposal was thrown by, or was given in our Kuwaiti government to ban Fortnite, PUBG, and randomly enough, Blue Whale, because these games cause, and I quote, suicidal tendencies.
Oh, Omega Lol.
Dude, that Mark Zuckerberg scene where he had to answer at a law of court, and then he had to teach those politicians how to make money off the internet. So he's like, Facebook, how does it work? How do you make money if everything's for free? And then Mark Zuckerberg's like, through ads. Then he looks at them like, "Are you dumb?"
Like, those work. Or do I have to explain? In this day and age, fourth grade economics to you, really, too, right?
I believe it's that. I believe our government is looking at this, new thing, video games on this scale, right? And because PUBG is on the phone, everybody's playing it over here. It's like the fad. I know you guys. No, you guys passed it. I know, but it's dude. My brother-in-law came to me a few months back. He's like, "I'm playing this new hot game. It's amazing. Have you heard of it? It's called PUBG." And I'm like, "PUBG has existed for a year now." And I'm like, "What the fuck is wrong with you? You casual piece of shit. You're so casual. I'm offended."
Bro, that's offensive even to casuals. Like you said, PUBG passed years ago. It's the granddaddy of battle royales in many people's eyes. It has a time and place. No one gives a shit anymore. People play it ironically now.
Dude, people play it here and use it as like a place for hookups. So you'd play PUBG, and then you'd find a female there. You'd enter the chat, and then you'd know she's a female. And she knows that she's a female, and because of that, you're going to let her win. And then you go in private chat. That's why the government is getting this is getting out of hand. What is this? Because degeneracy here is kind of frowned upon and considered not proper conduct. So people are using these platforms to hook up. Like back in the day, you used BlackBerry Messenger or something like that, or Snapchat. First it was BBM, and then it's social media, and now it's PUBG. It evolves.
Made it to PUBG. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that the best way to contact thoughts is on PUBG? You know what the best part is? I don't understand. They're reaching here, clearly. But suicidal tendencies? Think about it. If you're finding females or just people to hook up with in general on PUBG, I'd say you're you'd be a lot happier because you're finding something to do at the very least while doing things that you like to do.
They got the suicidal tendency from the Blue Whale game. The Blue Whale game supposedly gives you a bunch of quests that end with a challenge that tells you to take your own life, and apparently some people actually did it. And here's the thing: Blue Whale isn't on the App Store, right? That's the thing about it. But they still want to ban it off the App Store. Is this making sense? Because it's not to be.
Well, I actually thought you lost me when you said the Blue Whale was connected. It was in the same stratosphere to these people as Fortnite and PUBG. Like we want to eliminate and ban these games for suicidal tendencies. All right. What's the first one? Blue Whale. All right. We've had a couple incidents. What's the next one? Fortnite.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
All right. To a lesser degree, but I understand, that game is pretty cancerous. There's a lot of squeakers, so I could see why you will have suicidal tendencies while playing it. What's the next one? PUBG. The fuck did you just say? You dare disrespect the GOAT?
No, it's impressive. To me, it's impressive.
The Blue Whale was a big deal here too, but the way it got shut down here is a lot of school districts started sending messages to parents and in masses, and so people got the message pretty quick. Right, some stupid kids still did it naturally, but now what's taking over slowly but surely is the Momo challenge, right?
What's that?
Oh, you haven't heard?
Oh no, I don't keep up. What happened?
I'm not sure if I should look it up for you or you should just look it up on Google Images yourself. Just look up Momo face on Google Images. I don't want to scare the audience.
All right. What the fuck is this?
It is a Japanese sculpture, and the artist has received so much slack for it for now. Essentially, there's a challenge associated with this. This is supposed to be an innocent little art project, a sculpture of sorts. It's creepy, but it's art. Some idiot decided to attach a challenge to it where on Messenger or Snapchat or one of those social media sites, you can dial a number and get into contact with Momo, a sort of sentinel being that is supposed to be this art project as if it's alive. And she does the same thing. She gives you a bunch of challenges, which eventually ends with you hurting yourself. This is slowly becoming a thing here in the States, which I think is funny because we dodged the first one, and now we're getting hit with this one. Usually it's the other way around.
I know why it didn't work. You see, and Blue Whale happened mostly in Eastern Europe, right? Ukraine, Russia, these places, right? And it happened there because those people don't need an excuse. Or Blue Whale, doesn't have to be anything. They play it, next thing you know, they're killing themselves. They don't care. But if they're going to capture the American audience, they have to make it weeb. You filth. Ugh. When the U.S. is the embodiment of if you love them, you hit them, right? You bomb the Japanese. You love them so much, you nuclear struck them. This is clear to me now. You're in love with this culture. You look at it and you grovel. Anything that comes out of it. Oh, they made a fucking freak show, Moo face. Oh, is it from Japan though? Oh, then it's beautiful. It's a work of art. In fact, I'm gonna hurt myself because it's such a work of art. You are a sad culture, America. You did this. You should not have broken off with the British. That's your first and last mistake. It was all downhill from there.
No. That's where you're wrong. It will not be our last mistake.
The United States of America.
Land of the free, home of the brave.
Dude, one day historians will have a blast making fun of America once it implodes, 100 years from now or whatever. And now it's okay to call it out for what it is.
Our own founding fathers predicted that we would implode one day if we started following certain things that are happening right now, and we're doing them. So the countdown's ticking, but everyone's talking about how they want to move to Canada before that happens. I think Canada needs to get their shit together first before they start talking shit.
When your own parliament calls out your prime minister for being corrupt publicly, and the prime minister doesn't have the balls to respond, there's something wrong. At least when Putin, you can't call Putin corrupt, because if you tell him, you'll disappear. Or if you say it, you'll disappear. That guy's, has things under control. And then you go to Canada, and you see that, what's his name? Justin Trudeau.
Yeah, he's got different colored socks on today.
Dude, they caught him eating in Parliament.
What's wrong with that?
As far as in the Commonwealth system, you're not supposed to eat. If you want to eat, you go outside. He ate at the prime minister seat, like a piece of chocolate or something, and then some Parliament member came on and called him out. He's like, I've seen people eating before, but never the prime minister. And he's like, he's already stained the office metaphorically. He doesn't need to do it literally.
The horror. Chocolate in his mouth. Justin Trudeau's the type of person, though, as a fellow ignorant American, I say this from a distance. He seems like the type of person that can't make anything go right. Like, he looks like the kid that's trying to get his parents' attention, or in this case, an entire country's attention. Look, guys, I'm inclusive. Look, guys, I care about women because 50% of my cabinet is women. Look, guys, I care about Islam because what did he do to honor you guys? He did something.
Something stupid.
No, it wasn't Islam. No, it was India. Remember when he went to India and he put on those? Oh
yeah. I remember the picture.
Have you seen pandering so? I've never seen it so hard in my life. I was like, dude, there's a difference between understanding a culture and just flat out making fun of it. Like, he goes over there, he's like, can I try on your headdress? Okay, that's not what it's called, first of all, but sure, you're the prime minister. What am I gonna do? Say no?
It's respecting other cultures, man. And some feminist bitch is probably calling him out, saying, oh, that's their dress. You're not allowed to wear it. All right?
Yeah, that's cultural appropriation. Like white people with dreadlocks. It started here. Right, like that. I'm not sure if you've seen that video where it's like that white guy with dreadlocks, and then that black girl confronts him, and then she says, "You're not allowed to have dreadlocks. Why not?" Well, because you're not black. He explains, blah 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 blah. Here's why I wear it. Blah 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 blah. They go back and forth. Eventually, it ends with the guy saying, "Well, educating her. Well, this particular hairstyle that I'm going for started in Egypt," and the woman responds, "No, it started in Africa." Okay, first of all, Egypt is in fucking Africa, you fucking dipshit.
No, clearly.
I couldn't say that. It was being recorded.
People are beautiful, aren't they?
They really are, actually.
Ugh. Okay. I want to tell this story before I forget. And again, you said the amount of stupidity in the States. Like, we might as well give our stupidity as well. Give the Westerners a taste of what happens here, right? So, so Kuwait is a very diverse culture. Actually, you can argue that it's the America of the Middle East, just from the amount of cultures of people migrating over here. It's like the hub where everybody comes, and there is no like, unified language. Like, you go to Wales and everybody speaks Welsh. That doesn't exist here, right? Each little family has their own little thing. In any case, there's one thing that unites us, or two things, but tragedy unites everybody, so we don't count it. So a voice message came out from WhatsApp, and it's one guy complaining to another guy, right? To his friend, his supposed friend that spread this voice note, by the way. Not a dick move. He's like, man, my girlfriend of 6 years just left me because for one of my friends that I introduced 2 weeks prior, and before she left me, she took my drugs. She asked me for drugs. They milked me, and then she left me for him. And he's feeling very sad and very angry, and just so mentally broken and betrayed. And he's trying to vent to his friend. And the first thing his friend does is spread this voice message everywhere. It's probably started him sending it to a friend, and then that friend finding it funny, sending it to a friend, and then it's growing exponentially. But that still doesn't make him less of a dick, right, for doing it. And Kuwait halted. Literally everybody was talking about this. Everybody was making posts on it. Everybody was giving their take. It overtook the entire country by storm. And everybody was trying, speculating, why did that bitch leave that guy? What's a dick size? And they start breaking it down, the reasons of why this bitch left this guy. Right? And I've never seen a culture so united over scandal of this level. It's nothing. One guy cheated on another guy. Yet the entire country united to bully him, basically. It's impressive.
Scandal does unite people. Here in the States, we have a bunch of those in regards to celebrities usually, but they often don't have enough time to grow organically because it's not long before there's another one. The biggest one as of late, it's not a scandal, but an event was the royal wedding. To this day, I don't know why Americans in particular care so much about it.
Well, wait, the British royal wedding or
the Meghan Markle one? I don't know who she's married to. I don't know. He's the prince of something, but every time there's a wedding that matters in that area, we eat it up like gobbledygook, and we make posts about it. And late night comedians. I'd rather take a sleeping pill than watch Jimmy Kimmel. But it's people eat that up here, and so they eat up the celebrity gossip and all that comes with it, and with that comes a lot of scandal. And so when Kim Kardashian says something, actually, here's a good example. Kim Kardashian announced that she's going to become a lawyer. She's studying to become a lawyer. Now, I think we all had the same reaction at the start as well.
Follow your dreams.
Or at least that of her father's. And she is going for it. She enrolled in I don't know what type of school would take her, but No, she enrolled in like a program, an apprenticeship, from what I understand, and they so she's doing that. But oh my god, everyone was like, well, she's done some things in the past, but people deserve second chances, or in her case, 20-second chances. And so people are cheering her on now. All of a sudden, like, you can do it, Kim. We believe you can be a great lawyer. Just don't try to lawyer my case or anything if I ever get into trouble. Right? But that somehow united people. So the gossip, the scandal, because those people that you just mentioned, they're not celebrities, but they essentially became celebrities through that scandal. So it does unite people, and sometimes it's more comical than we expect.
I don't want to forget this. Speaking of scandals of regular people, you promised me a story.
I promise a lot of people a lot of stories.
About some Instagram bitch?
Oh!
You've been holding this for 2 weeks. I need to hear it.
Some of you may have already heard about this, so a little bit of backstory before this goes down. So there's an Instagram model by the name of I believe it's Jessie Taylor. I'm actually gonna look her up just to be sure.
Is it one of those fashionistas, or is she like better somehow?
She's an Instagram model. I'm not sure how the classifications are defined there, but she looks very average even for an Instagram model. No Abigail Ratchford or Lindsay Pelas or anything like that. No, she looks or Anna Cherie. She looks very average even by Instagram model standards.
All right, sure.
Let's see. And basically, she she had her Instagram deleted a couple of times because of trolls. She calls them trolls that decided to flag some of her content. And because of this, it's happened multiple times, and Instagram decided to completely delete her account. Well, it turns out that Instagram is her only form of income. And this is strike one. But she she made a video about her crying about the fact that she lost all of her Instagram fame, essentially, and that she now cannot make money. She cannot survive because of her Instagram being deleted, because of the trolls, supposedly. I don't know whose side to be on, just off of the backstory, simply because this has not been resolved yet, and also because trolls on the internet often is a term that gets overused. Like we were talking about Brie Larson. Trolls was used to describe the reviewers, the critics that actually commented on the film and then had to get banned. But so this girl called them trolls, but they could have been people who were actually reporting inappropriate content, because it is Instagram. There are a lot of models that try to get ahead of the curve by putting out a lot of controversial content. And by controversial, I mean nude pics, stuff that I wouldn't be up against, but Instagram has their policies for a reason, I suppose. And so you never know. This, like I said, this has not been cleared up yet, I don't think, but there's a video to go with it. And I would like to share that video with Trillian here, and possibly with our entire audience here. I don't think this would be copyright, mainly because I don't think anybody cares enough about her to claim this video for her, but
we're spreading the message. We're trying to support our fellow content creator and spreading awareness about the dangers of fake news.
Yes, that, and she's basically upset that she might actually have to get a normal 9-to-5 job. And she's crying because of it.
I don't think she can get a 9-to-5 job. I think she can get a 5 to 9 job.
Oh, you. Come on, feminists, come on in.
Welcome to the salt grinder.
I haven't even explained the best part about the video yet. She's crying not because her Instagram got deleted, but because she verbally admits that she has no skills whatsoever besides Instagram that would qualify her for any job whatsoever. So she's crying because she has nothing. And personally, I think that's beautiful.
Okay, I need to see this. Come on, hit me up.
All right. I'm gonna send you the link.
No, you can't just screen share it or something? So the entire audience can see themselves.
Oh, that's right. That's right. We can do that.
Come on, you're such a noob, Louis. You poked your own eyes. You did not continue from the vibe I threw in the beginning. What's happening? You know, is being out of college that bad? You're supposed to be better, not worse.
Listen, light boy, I don't know where you got all those fancy lights. Look at that fancy smith. What do you have that chalkboard for? What's written on there, huh?
High IQ stuff.
I don't care.
No, this is not on your IQ level. You cannot comprehend what's written over here. Just pretend you understand.
It can't be any higher than my 40.
I have a personal IQ of 69. I stole this from Aziz. I'm sorry, Aziz. I know you're watching. That's his thing. I'm so sorry. I just had to say it. All right.
I just realized we haven't addressed the comments yet. Have you noticed that?
Oh yeah, dude. I'm keeping up, but we're throwing comment after comment, and Aziz and Mabushka have been like MVPs all around, just like fighting for like the spotlight of the commenters. But what can you do? You know, what can you do? And oh no, I can see the link now. Now somebody with no life is gonna raid the stream again. See what you did, Louis? We'll have Danny back. Ugh. Oh, okay. Here we go. Here's the video. Holy shit. Did she intentionally play with her makeup to pretend she's sad?
I don't know what she did, but keep talking for a second.
Cultural appropriation is a national pastime in Kuwait. What we do is we steal other people's cultures and we try and make them ours.
All right, you can shut up.
Okay, sure.
By the way, that's America's job. All right. So I don't know what she did, but it's funny how this is her most successful thing that she's ever put out ever. Instagram or YouTube. In fact, she made a YouTube account just to complain about this. As you can see, a very generous like to dislike ratio.
Holy shit. 7,000 subscribers and a 1 million view video. Wow. Okay, I have to see this.
Alrighty then. Are you ready?
Yes. Oh, I can't hear anything. Oh yeah, I can hear a hint of it now. Go louder.
That's as loud as it goes.
All right, sure. Just go back. Put the captions on. Let's let the YouTube. Yeah, just in case somebody has not too powerful of headphones or something. I can barely hear it with mine.
Yeah. Somebody with no life actually took the time to close caption this. That's fun.
Oh, amazing! Click it.
Yeah, YouTube heroes.
Yeah, they don't wear capes. Ah, so much honesty.
Think twice because you're ruining my life.
Wait, hold on. Read this caption. Read this caption. You're ruined. You're roadie by life.
Oh, this is so beautiful.
Oh God.
My money online. All of it. And I don't want to lose that. And I know people like to see me be down and be like that and be like the 90%ers, the people that work 9 to 5.
Holy shit. Hold on. Do you see how long her nails are?
Yeah, it's scary, isn't it?
I don't think that's beautiful, right? Like, is it me? Like, it should be a bit shorter.
I think I'm pretty neutral on nails. The only problem I see with it is that if I were a female, I wouldn't want to fall because you crack your nail and that would really hurt. Plus, you usually spend like at least $75 to get them that long.
Ew. I don't like long nails, but I'm going off by memory. My sister, back when she used to grow her nails, they were never that long. This looks creepy. This looks like she can, like, Freddy Krueger or somebody.
Hey, in her state of mind, there's no telling what she would do. Let's continue.
Sure.
The people that work 9 to 5, that is not me. I am in LA to not be like that. I worked so fucking hard to get to where I'm at, and for that to get taken from me is the worst fucking feeling in the world. It literally sucks having people want to come after you for no fucking reason, and it hurts. And I don't think people understand that, like, this is my fucking life. I am nothing. I was a fucking prostitute, for God's sake. I was a fucking prostitute. I shipped every single day.
I called it.
Yeah, you're not the first. Don't be too proud of yourself.
I am proud.
What do you think? What do you think an Instagram model does before they become an Instagram model? Yeah, exactly. Continue.
I don't want to go back to that life. From the bottom of my heart,
it gets better.
It does? Okay.
Imagine if you were in my shoes. I was abandoned from my fucking family. I've been backstabbed from everybody I know. Except for maybe 2 people. 3 people in my life. 3 fucking people in my life that's not backstabbed yet.
Do I hear 4?
5, 6.
I just got back from fucking San Fran and drove 7 hours to try to get a fucking verification just for my account to be fucking deleted. Stop fucking reporting me, bro.
Yeah, bro.
You guys have to realize this. I'm $20 fucking thousand in debt from school, from college, so I can't even go to college if I fucking wanted to. I used to work at fucking McDonald's before I did fucking YouTube, Instagram, before I had $100,000, before I had everything in my life. I was a fucking loser. Like, not that there's anything wrong with working McDonald's when I worked there, but I still want to go back to that life. I'm perfectly happy where I'm at, and I have no job qualifications. I could never work a normal job. I am worthless.
Holy shit, that's a breakdown if I ever saw one.
I'd also like to point out that halfway through the video, she the lighting in her house, the electricity just gets cut. That's what happens when your Instagram contract expires, I guess. You lose everything, including your lighting.
You know the most hilarious part? There's a video game It's in beta, if I believe. Um, uh, uh, Abby played it in front of all of us one time. Um, it's about like basically you're a homeless person trying to make it up to having a house and like an apartment and being inside four walls for a change. And the idea is you're playing as a homeless person. First, you start begging, then you start getting a little bit of cash, then you go minimum wage jobs, then you go to the library, you read up and acquire skills, and then you go and get higher paying jobs because now you have the education to do so and all that. It's just a bunch of stuff like this, right? And eventually, the goal of the game is just to have a steady paying job and affording your own apartment, right? What I'm trying to say here is it's not hard, right, to get out of poverty. They make it seem like it is, but having decent income, doing a decent job is not hard. People tell you it is, but it's not. I'm a firm believer in that. You can make ends meet, no matter what you do in life. If you try hard enough, you can make ends meet. And not smart enough. If you're smart enough, you can get out of it entirely. If you work hard enough, you can make ends meet, no matter what, right? You no need to be a prostitute or all that stupidity. Her, on the other hand, she already defeated herself, right? I am worthless without this. If I don't get this, I'm done. It's over. My life is gone. There's no way I can get back from this. But you can. And you can do it with dignity. But you don't want to. That's too hard. And that's why you're bitching on YouTube. And that's why I disagree with whoever commenter said that this is sad. This is hilarious. This is my proof that females have the excuse to be lazy, then they choose not to. That was her being lazy. And she lost it due to some trolls or whatever. And her lazy response is to bitch about it on fucking camera instead of, she could have taken that money, invested it somehow, applied it to her for her education. She could have built up another business, made a YouTube channel, diversify. Look at the YouTubers. As starts going down, they start a Patreon. Patreon doesn't start working, they start selling T-shirts. They start making a book. They start diversifying, right? Because they understand. They understand that, okay, to make ends meet, you don't put all your eggs in one basket. But because she is being dumb, she has to go back to the 5 to 9 job. That's on her, not on anybody else, not on the trolls. That's on her.
I have a simpler assessment of all this, actually.
Dr. Phil Icarus. God damn it, Babushka. God fucking damn it.
When life comes and bites you in the ass, when reality sets in, that's when it hurts. Have you ever seen a more hurt person about your Instagram account being deleted? Could you even try to find somebody more pathetic if you tried?
Oh, pathetic is easy. Finding somebody more pathetic, like it's a competition, People are competing. There's an Olympics for it, to quote you. But over an Instagram account, that has to be a new niche, because everybody tries to find a niche in their business. So that's her niche. She's trying to capture that essence of patheticness.
Well, whatever she decides to do, her name's Jessie Taylor. If anybody wants to go support her, don't. Unless you feel the need to. Unless you feel like there's something that she deserves. I don't know why I'm helping her out. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that I wish her the best of luck. And What McDonald's are you gonna be working at? Why does everybody use McDonald's as the example too? It's
Why is that
just
bad?
is no offense to McDonald's workers, which is every offense to McDonald's workers. They're seen as the lowest common denominator, and nobody. It's always McDonald's. Nobody ever brings up Carl's Jr., Burger King. It's always I don't want to work at McDonald's. But what about Subway? What about Jack in the Box? KFC?
Oh, you know the funniest thing to me, I find this hilarious. People can get full-fledged, high-end PCs working a McDonald's job. I know this. I've seen it. Right? What the fuck, people?
Dude, think of it like this. All right, she spent a lot of money on college, which is fine, right? That's part of what you have to do these days. It's the route that's set up for you. But if you don't decide to go that route and you decide to, let's just say, work at McDonald's, in the 4 years that somebody uses to go to school, somebody who decides not to go to school and decides to work at McDonald's could use those 4 years to level up in the company, right? Maybe become a chief leader, maybe even I've known people that have made it all the way to assistant manager in less than that time. Because it's an industry with a lot of turnover, so they're constantly needing new replacements for things. And if you stick with it long enough, you can make it to manager, general manager. You can eventually own your own restaurant, franchise, your own. They can help you franchise a McDonald's. Like, it's doable. The problem is it's seen as a very disgusting, if for lack of a better term, thing to work at McDonald's, right? Anything associated with McDonald's. People will go there. They're one of the most successful fast food chains of all time.
But you don't want to work.
Blech. Right? You get high enough, they have great benefits, but working for them, blech.
I find this hilarious because we have our own version of this, and it's not McDonald's. Well, of course, McDonald's, you can count on it, but for us, it's the people who clean I don't know what you call them, the people who clean the streets. If there's a piece of tissue or whatever, there's somebody to come to clean it up. Those people here are they're not of Kuwaiti nationality. They are usually allocated nationality from India for the most part. They are, to say it frankly, an oppressed people. Sometimes they don't give them their pay in time. It's a sad thing to see, right? Those people work in the heat of Kuwait, the 12 p.m. heat for a minimum wage, and it's a horrifying job when it comes to amount of difficulty and labor. And even that job, personally, I consider as a noble job. Why? Because in the end, you're doing work and you're making ends meet. And that's always better than being a leech.
And so it's also a job that's worthwhile. I think you can agree there, right?
Yep.
Like, I have a lot of respect for janitors, garbage people, because who else would do those jobs? Yes, you could be the guy that's sitting high and mighty in an office somewhere as an executive for a McDonald's, for example. But the person who makes the sandwich for people, bro, do you realize what it is to fulfill someone's hunger? They will love you that day for it. I always try to be nice to people in customer service.
Yeah, that's another thing. That's a thankless job, isn't it? Being on call, being the call center of a company, and a company with think Apple, something dumb people go to, right? And they can't work their phone, they can't change their tune. And, it doesn't make sense to Google it or Bing it. I don't care, anything, right? No. I have to call the call center, and my phone isn't working, calling from the phone. It's not doing calls right. What do I do? Well, sir, have you tried turning it off and then on again.
When all else fails. leave it
Yeah,
there.
and you have to like to walk them through it. Do it. I know one guy. He works at a bank call center. Um, it's horrifying. People are so fucking dumb, and because they think they have like the power over you, they think they can yell their way for you to get what they want. And sometimes it's justified because call centers have techniques to stall you, to get you to close the line. I understand getting agitated because of that and yelling, but yelling initially from the start. Now, okay, what the fuck, people? It's like people, whenever they're in a car, and because they're in the car, they think they can, like, be rude because there's the psychological barrier.
Yes. Some glass and road in between you.
Yep, and that's enough to convince people that I won't be punched in the face. The worst that can happen is he yells back at me, and I'm already yelling, so it becomes a yelling contest. I don't care, right? And he loses his cool. Chances are he'll get fired.
And then now in 2019, all I have to do is be the first one to pull out my phone and start recording him, right? Stick my phone in his face. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. That, and I think people do forget well, I mean, New Zealand won't have this problem anymore. I'll give them that. But here in the States, there's always concern that you shouldn't honk at somebody unless you absolutely have to. And you shouldn't yell at somebody because road rage often prompts weaponry to be drawn. So the last thing you want is like a road rage and somebody turns around and they pull out a gun on you. Maybe that's why New Zealand got rid of all the guns. Maybe that was the real problem. I saw an uptick in that once they finally had an excuse to check the stats. They were like, oh, this doesn't even come close to the amount of people that were killed during road rage incidents. It happens here.
Dude, the New Zealand banning of the guns happened so quick. My conspiracy head can't help but tinfoil a bit and think it's an inside job to ban the guns. And the argument for it is, of course, it's better for the government. It's a population without guns is easier to control and have them do whatever you want. So it makes sense for you to actually take their guns away. And okay, how do we take the guns away? Oh, I don't know. Shoot up a mosque. How about that? We give some radical a few guns. We tell him we have 10 minutes, and then we have to arrest you. And you get to kill some Muslims. And we get to take the guns away.
Yeah, they find some idiot who has nothing to live for, right?
Yep.
Like, you want purpose in your life? We can give it to you. And you'll be doing a national service as well. That's where they get you. They try to convince you in that regard. No, it's the older I grow, the more I entertain conspiracies. One, because they're entertaining, and because the amount of subreddits on conspiracies is a joy in and of itself. Like, it's a joy to me to realize there's a whole community of people out there that think as lucratively as I do, but also because the more you think about it, the less far-fetched it becomes.
And again, we're not saying the moon is made out of cheese. We're just like, as I remember, it was a Bill Burr. I'm not sure. The U.S. was built upon a conspiracy. We just don't call it that because they won.
Yeah.
Right? So let's not pretend that conspiracies don't exist. It's fine. We can speculate. We're supposed to, follow the money, see where it goes, all that crap, right? And to me, the New Zealand shooting happened too cleanly. It's a Commonwealth nation, and there hasn't been a debate on it before the legislation was passed. That tells me way too clean.
It happened too fast. You said it yourself. They banned guns so fast, they skipped the whole debate part about it. In every other country, excluding this one, in other countries, it's already been a debate, or it's an ongoing debate. Should citizens have the right to defend themselves? with this level of weaponry. You're going to tell me that they settled that in less than a week's time after a tragedy? Suspicious.
And again, I'm a pro guns guy. I'm always that, like, I always call back to that Deadpool scene where they're at the bar, and Deadpool and his friend are at the bar, and everybody's chilling, having fun, and then the main bad guy shows up, tries to cause a mess, and the second he tries to get violence, every guy and his mom pulls out a gun and just points it at his face, and he politely withdraws. And to me, I'm like, how would that mosque look like, or that school that got shot up look like, if it was a firefight instead of it being
a massacre?
Yeah. Are we willing to allow the occasional one guy pull a gun on another guy and have us mature gun-wise slowly as a culture that knows when to use gun and when not, when not to provoke the ire of violence, to prevent somebody from just pulling a gun and walking around and shooting up a concert? And, okay, police response time is quick these days. It's not quick enough to save lives, though.
My favorite argument for this is the people that think that having rules matters. Bro, most normal people don't even follow the intended rules. Somebody who's dead bent on getting revenge or killing people or doing something of tragic value, do you really think they're going to be deterred by a sign that says no guns beyond this point? Because it's here in California, there's plenty of those. We're one of the most liberal states, especially when it comes to guns. We have a lot of gun incidents here, and we're supposed to be one of the strictest on guns. Yet even we understand the value of guns, just not how to control them, because a sign's not going to do the job. That's been established.
No. If you put the sign, everybody knows. Everybody knows. You look at the sign, you're like, oh, okay, let me leave the gun in the park. Everybody knows that.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. Now I understand. Oh, yeah. Sorry, Benny. We can't come in today. Yep. Guess I need to go to this one now.
God damn it. Why did I bring my piece today,
Yeah, it works. Dude, it works different for smoking. I was having a discussion with somebody who tried to convince me that it would be the same thing as smoking. Restaurants have the sign, no smoking beyond this point. Yeah, it's different with smoking, though, because if you have a cigarette in your hand, there's not an initial threat, right? People can get secondhand smoke, but they're not going to die instantly from it. If you bring a cigarette or a cigar, any smoking hazard, as they call them, into a restaurant where they're not allowed, people will politely yet firmly ask you to leave. And you won't get any initial shock from there necessarily. If you bring in a gun, there's the shock value. There's also the inherent disdain and threat that people feel because of it being in there. It doesn't even compare to a cigarette. You can get away with a sign because the sign is something petty for a petty issue. To really think that, oh, we need to do something about guns. I got it. Let's add a bigger sign. Yeah, it works with traffic, doesn't it?
Actually, I really miss the days where people could smoke while eating. Funny enough, I wasn't even a smoker back then, right? And I would still appreciate the fact that there was a smoking section for people who want to smoke. And now, like, I swear, smokers are discriminated against. They're a bigger minority now, even though they're a majority.
Oh, they're not a majority here.
Nobody smokes around your house anymore?
No, smoking has been a dying breed here in the States for a while. In fact, vaping is on the rise, but everybody's making the faggot jokes at that point. But smoking, you see somebody smoking, it's almost like seeing a wild animal that should be extinct but isn't. Like
Wow.
people will
Okay.
take pictures of you here and make fun of you. Like, look at this smoker, which is
What the fuck?
very rather mean, because here the people that are still smoking are addicts. They're not just people who do it casually. The people that still smoke here definitively have a problem that they cannot outgrow. They're too far gone. But people
I
like their
I actually hate this. You see, I did an experiment. I tried regular tobacco for a month, smoked it for a month, and then I stopped smoking. And I'm like, I should be addicted by now. I really like smoking in general. If you haven't realized, I love my nicotine. I love my caffeine, right? But every time I people tell me I'm addicted, back in the day, I'm like, okay, let's make an experiment. And I cut something for like a month or two and see if I ever miss it. And okay, sure, I missed it, but I missed it the same way I miss a Snickers bar, right? Which makes me propose this. Everybody's full of it. Nicotine is not that addictive of a substance. But people are pansies.
oh boy,
Or
any
or they
word-
don't want to quit. So they make the excuse, oh, I'm addicted. I'm addicted. I can't help it. You know, just say you like it. It's fine. Admit it.
no, it
Why
can't
make
be
it
worse than coffee.
It's not. It's not. It's not.
Dude, we
I
were
did,
this girl and like how people make ends meet. You people want to learn how to end up with more money at the end of their paycheck. Start making your own coffee. Stop going to Starbucks and being addicted to that, right? Learn to wake up on your own volition. I'm not saying never drink coffee again, but try to control yourself. There are people that I know that cannot go a day or hours of a day without coffee. They drink multiple cups a day. And they go out and buy it from the same spot. It's not any healthier, and they are addicted to it, but they will never acknowledge it. And then by the end of there's plenty of stats of this, by the way, where people posted in Facebook memes. It's like, did you know that you spend this much on Starbucks per month? And if you stop doing that, then you could save this much per year. And it's laughable, but it's only laughable from a person who has never really gotten into coffee. I realize that there are people that just can't flat out survive. And so I see the nicotine addiction similar.
it's nothing. You can't compare it to the addiction that you have from cocaine or whatever. It's again, like Aziz is a chemist. He just just mentioned it in the comments, which is nicotine is low on the addiction chart, right? And low would make you think, oh, so it does have addictive value. Maybe, but I bet sugar is more addictive. And Aziz, you can correct me on this. I bet sugar is more addictive. I bet from the way people consume sugar and sugary products, that a sweet tooth is more dangerous than a smoky tooth. And it's just that, how do you say this? Like, a lot of addiction is psychological, and I've read up a little bit on this, which is unless it's a real physical addiction, again like heroin or something, where once it's gone, your body craves it so much it starts hurting you, so you can get it back. Anything else, like nicotine, not only can you quit, but is not particularly addictive. It's basically our addictive tendencies or our natural need for habits and repetition that lead to this addiction. So yeah, like I don't know much else to say. Like, people are pansies. That's my conclusion on it, really.
People are pansies and they don't have good self-control because they never work on themselves and never acquire any life skills that make them even qualified to work for fucking McDonald's.
This is my life. This is my everything. The salt grinder is everything. Okay? I am nothing without this. I am worth.
Well, then you're really going to be disappointed when I decide to delete this channel in a couple months. People. That's really the way we can sum up possibly this entire series is people. What an adventure.
Right? we can spend like the rest of the future episodes just making fun of one thing after another, and we won't finish. It's too entertaining. People are fucking.
That's all the series is.
I mean, fair enough.
That's all the series has ever been. That's all it will ever be.
Beautiful.
And on that note, I realize that there is a lot we actually didn't cover today that we were supposed to, so we'll have to get to that next week. We really hope that you enjoyed the very first episode of The Salt Grinder, the continuation, but not the limitation of the anime law. And thank you to all the commenters out there. I think you kept up with the comments a little bit more than I did this time. So if you would like to crown an MVC, feel free.
I like.
It's definitely between Babushka and Aziz.
Well, yeah, they're the ones who spammed the thing, and I'm looking for like something like a quality.
Well, you know what? It is the first episode. We can go ahead and give them a tie.
yeah, let's just give them a tie. Thankfully, maybe they'll resolve the tie next time they show up on here as guests.
Yeah, go mud wrestle or something. I'm heard that's how men handle things these days. Mud wrestling. That and diss tracks. Feel free to make diss tracks on each other.
Oh, yes. Yes, distract yourselves. That'd be fun.
We encourage it.
Oh, yes. The diss tracks are way more fun than people give them credit for. I'm surprised people don't do it casually for fun.
Because a lot of people are pansies, right? We've established this. We don't know if they're going to take it the right way.
Yeah, that's fair.
He called my ears big? Whatever will I do? Then respond with making fun of him. It's like people don't have the sense of fun anymore. Actually, that's a topic for possibly next time. What happened to fun? You mentioned this with poetry. Why doesn't poetry rhyme anymore? Why isn't it fun? What happened to Dr. Seuss? Was the moon landing a conspiracy? All this and much more on the very next episode of Dragon Ball D.
Trademark.
Copyrighted by TV Tokyo or whoever owns fucking Dragon Ball. Those weebs.
Yeah, I'm happy we're off the weeb market. Trust me on that. Just having the word anime on my show was giving me pain.
I don't know why you came up with it.
I know. It was appropriate for its time.
Yeah, people blamed me for it. I was like, what are you looking at me for? No, you see that guy? You see him across the screen over there? Guy with the bald head? Right, with the chalkboard with nothing important written on it. That guy came up with it. Could you imagine a more pretentious title? Right? For the time when somebody with a chalkboard. I'm never going to get over that, man. Mainly because I'm jealous because I don't have anything cool on my backdrop.
Well,
but I do have something a little Easter egg that maybe some of you have caught throughout the stream. He was here the whole time. Behold, South Park is the greatest show ever made.
For high IQ people only.
Yes, if for intellectuals. All right, now he's been in other streams. He's been hiding in the back. There will be other cameos throughout the course of this series, so be on the lookout. Just around here in the room somewhere. On that note, though, if you have any last words, feel free to put them in the comment section. We probably won't get to them, not because we don't like you, but because, well, that would be too mean of a thing to say, but that's actually the reason, really.
Let's just say it's good to be back, and it's good to give you guys the essence to exist and the reason to survive. You guys
Yes.
are worthless without us.
You can hold off on cutting yourself from now on, all right? All right. You weren't doing it right to begin with, all right? Long way for results, short way to show off,
Yes.
right? But no need for that anymore. Let the scars fade with your depression. Watch the Salt Grinder every week. Same day, same time. Or wait. No, actually, and don't get me started on this again. We had to reschedule.
Yeah.
Because so it will actually be a day earlier, usually.
So Friday night at 9 your time.
Yep. Well, Friday night, 12 o'clock, midnight Eastern Standard Time, 9 o'clock p.m. Pacific Time. And go ahead and give the Kuwaiti plug. What is it, like 7 a.m. for you over there?
Yeah, it's Saturday morning, 7 a.m.
If any people with no lives feel like waking up that early.
Well, we had 3 of them on there, so kudos to you guys for waking up. Thank you for joining us and getting MV tying on MVC.
Oh, they were determined this time. Yeah, we'll be seeing them. I presume in the future on the other side of the screen. So
yep,
it'll be fun as well.
All right then. Next time we start trashing Endgame. Next time we get serious, and believe me, you're gonna want to be around for it. That said, we will see you guys later. Remember to drink your milk, and we'll see you guys next week. Goodbye.